absolutely love the detective work involved in my job. I love the taking all of the strands of evidence together to piece together a picture of what's happened in somebody's life and how they've died. That was completely fascinating for me, really cutting-edge science that you couldn't do even just a few years ago. And what came out of it is that Ken Grandy's got quite a serious underlying genetic condition. But he's also got this foxglove in his system. So the question is, did somebody hurry along his death, or was it a medical mistake?
Professor Turi King is in the Italian Alps, on the trail of Europe's oldest unsolved murder, Ötzi the Iceman.
So I'm really looking forward to this story because Ötzi the Iceman, incredibly famous archaeological story. I teach this at university.
Named after the Ötzals mountain range where he was found. The frozen body of Ötzi was discovered in 1991. Turi is heading straight to where the body was found.
We've got a crime scene at 10,000 feet. That's extraordinary. So I'm gonna go meet an archaeologist called Andreas, and he and I are gonna go and see the site.
But this is no ordinary archaeological site. So Turi's being taken there by helicopter, alongside archaeologist Andreas Putzer.
So we do have your results back. And I can tell you, we got a really interesting first match, who is a distant cousin.
Really?
Yeah. So when I'm building out their family tree and looking at their family tree, they have somebody in their tree called Veronica.
Really?
So what we did was we got in contact with the family and asked if one of them could take a DNA test just to confirm that this was your sister. And it was.
Oh, God. Wow. I can't believe it.
Yeah. So I always say, go and talk to your older relatives. Really, they're like a gold mine, and they may have records already, photos. Make sure you put the names on the backs of the photos because people will forget. And then once you've done that, there's free sites. So there's the free UK genealogy kind of suite of sites. And the first one is Free BMD. This is a lovely volunteer site. So what they're doing is they're transcribing the civil registration indexes for births, marriages, and deaths. So what you can do is you can go to there, you can put in a surname, you can be looking for a birth or a marriage or a death, and it'll bring up the index for that. So then if you want to go and order that certificate, you go over to the General Record Office to go and get that. There's Free CEN, so that's the census records. So censuses started in this country in 1801. From 1841, they start having individual information on. And I absolutely love this because what you can do is you can go find one of your ancestors, where they're living. They might be married, they've got kids. And then because it's every 10 years, you go and have a look in 10 years' time when the older kids might have left, they might have had more kids.
Cool.
And you can see what jobs they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this lovely snapshot into your ancestors' lives. And then the other one's Free Reg. So that's parish registers. So that takes you pre-1837 when civil registration came in. And that's fantastic. I mean, you can get some records that go back really far for that. So those are your kind of three ones you go for that are free to really get you going.
So scientists are still studying the Black Death today?
They are. There's been this really cool study recently. So what they did was they looked at skeletons of people who died before the Black Death, during, afterwards, and they zoomed in on bits of our DNA, so genes that are involved in the immune system.
So were they able to tell, for example, who was more likely to survive?
Yeah. So they found this really interesting thing. So people who succumbed to the Black Death seem to carry a particular variant of a gene. And what it showed was that if they had this particular version, they were less able to fight off the disease. Essentially, what you've got is natural selection is happening. And we can see that happening by doing this study. So this is DNA sequence from an ancient specimen. It's our kind of instruction manual. It's things where we've got variants which kind of give us, blue eyes and dark hair and this kind of thing. But you also have variants in genes that affect your immune system. So our DNA is made up of 4 different building blocks, so G, C, T, and A. And you can see here that you've got one genetic difference. And if you found a T at this particular location, that had a really big effect. It meant that they produced a much shorter protein, and so their immune system wasn't working so well.
So some people would have been more likely to die because of their genetic code.
And it's just one tiny difference, one letter difference, but with such a big impact. And what they found was that after the plague, you get higher numbers of people who have got this version.
So the Black Death changed our landscape, our politics, our economy, and actually it changed us as well.
Yeah, it seems to have changed the gene pool.